I'm Amalia, and from my earliest memories, responsibility was my constant companion. Our modest home was always bustling with activity, my two younger brothers running around, and later, my baby sister who came into our lives when I was 10. Amalia, honey, could you help change Sarah's diaper? Mom would call out, her voice tired from working double shifts. I'd drop whatever I was doing and rush to help. That was our normal, everyone pitched in, except Sarah. From the moment she arrived, she was different. She's just a baby, let her be, Dad would say, waving off any concerns about her behavior. I watched as my parents worked themselves to exhaustion, trying to provide for us all. Dad at the construction site, Mom cleaning houses, they did everything they could to keep food on our table and dreams alive in our hearts. My brothers, Mike and David, were the middle children, often lost in the shuffle between my responsibilities and Sarah's privileges. We shared knowing looks across the dinner table when Sarah would throw another tantrum and get her way again. I started working right after high school, determined to break free from the cycle of just getting by. The local diner wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Every penny I earned went into my college fund jar, hidden away in my closet. I'd count it late at night, dreaming of the day I'd have enough to start classes at the community college. Within a year, my managers noticed my dedication. I went from waitressing to handling the books, and suddenly, my college dreams didn't seem so far-fetched anymore. I enrolled in evening classes, juggling work and studies with a determination that surprised even me. The exhaustion was real. Some nights I'd fall asleep over my textbooks, only to wake up at dawn for another shift. But watching Sarah sleep until noon, skip school whenever she felt like it, and face no consequences only fueled my drive to succeed. You're going to burn yourself out, Dad warned one evening, finding me studying in the kitchen at midnight. I looked up from my accounting homework and smiled. Maybe, but I'm going somewhere, Dad. I promise you that. My college degree opened doors I never thought possible. First National Bank hired me as a junior analyst, and I threw myself into the work with the same determination that got me through school. Within months, my supervisor pulled me aside. Amalia, I've never seen someone pick things up so quickly, she said. Keep this up, and you'll go far here. She wasn't wrong. I had a knack for numbers and an even better one for dealing with people. While others complained about office politics, I navigated them effortlessly. Maybe all those years of managing family dynamics had taught me something useful after all. Meanwhile, my brothers Mike and David had moved out, starting their own lives. But Sarah? She was still at home, living the same consequence-free life she always had. Mom would call me with updates I didn't want to hear. Sarah was out until 3 a.m. again, she'd say, sighing. I worry, but you know how she is. I did know. I also knew about the parade of boyfriends, the failing grades, and the general lack of direction. But it wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life now, my own apartment, my own goals. Then came the call that changed everything. Sarah's pregnant, Mom announced one morning. The father's gone to Arizona. Says he wants nothing to do with it. I gripped my phone tighter. And we'll help her raise the baby, of course. What else can we do? Of course they would. Sarah was still their precious baby, even at 18, even pregnant with her own child. I stayed silent, already knowing what was coming next. You'll help too, won't you, Amalia? Come over on weekends? You're so good with children. That's when I started developing an impressive array of excuses. Urgent work projects. Professional development courses. Client meetings. Anything to avoid spending my precious free time taking care of yet another child. I don't understand you anymore, Mom said during one particularly tense phone call. You used to be so helpful. I used to be a child forced to be helpful, I corrected her. I'm an adult now, with my own life. But family? Family works both ways, Mom. Or have you forgotten the money I send every month? That usually shut them up, at least temporarily. The checks I wrote were substantial, enough to cover Sarah's prenatal care, then baby supplies, then ongoing expenses. But it was never enough to buy their approval. My Aunt Lisa told me over coffee one day, "They're calling you heartless behind your back, you know. Saying you've changed, become cold." I stirred my coffee slowly, watching the cream create patterns in the dark liquid. Let them talk. They've never understood me anyway. They say you're ungrateful, she pressed on. I looked her straight in the eye. Ungrateful for what? The privilege of raising their other children? The opportunity to now raise their grandchild? I've earned everything I have, Aunt Lisa. Everything. The promotion to senior analyst came through that week. My salary increased again, and so did the checks I sent home. But I kept my boundaries firm. No weekends babysitting. No emergency childcare. No last-minute favors. Let them call me callous. I'd spent enough of my life being the responsible one. Between client meetings and financial reports, romance wasn't exactly a priority. My dating app sat mostly unused on my phone until that rainy Tuesday night when James's message popped up. Something about his profile seemed different, maybe it was the genuine smile, or the lack of shirtless gym selfies. I notice you work in finance, his message read. I'm actually an investment advisor. Maybe we could bore each other with market talk over coffee? That coffee turned into dinner, which turned into weekends, which turned into 2 years of the kind of relationship I'd never thought I'd have time for. James was patient, understanding about my work schedule, and somehow managed to make me laugh even after my most stressful days. You know, he said one evening as we walked through the park, I never thought I'd find someone who understands both compound interest and my terrible jokes. Then came the proposal, nothing flashy, just us in my apartment after a home-cooked meal. I can't imagine my life without you, he said, holding out the ring. Marry me? I said yes, before he could even finish asking. Introducing him to my family was surprisingly smooth. Even Sarah behaved herself, which was a minor miracle. My parents were overjoyed, finally, their workaholic daughter was settling down. He's wonderful, Amalia, Mom gushed after our first family dinner together. And did you see how great he is with Tommy? She meant Sarah's son, my nephew, who had indeed taken an instant liking to James. The wedding was beautiful, and married life started out perfectly. James fit into the family like he'd always been there. He'd play with Tommy for hours when we visited, teaching him to throw a ball or build with blocks. Sarah watched these interactions with an odd intensity one didn't quite register at the time. He's going to be such an amazing father, she'd say, smiling at me meaningfully. You're so lucky, Amalia. That's when the questions started. First from my family, then from James himself. Don't you think it's time? He'd ask, watching Tommy run around our living room. We're not getting any younger. I'd explain my position again and again. I want us to be completely ready. We need our own house first, not this apartment. We need savings, security. But we're doing well, he'd counter. Both have good jobs, what are we waiting for? For the right time, I'd insist. One child, when we're ready. That's the plan we agreed on. He'd sigh and drop it, but I could feel his disappointment. During family gatherings, I'd catch him looking wistfully at Tommy. Your sister manages just fine, he'd say sometimes, not quite keeping the edge out of his voice. My sister lives with our parents and relies on their retirement savings, I'd reply. That's not what I want for our child. The tension grew slowly, almost imperceptibly. Like watching storm clouds gather on a sunny day, you know the rain is coming, but you tell yourself it's still far away. I was too focused on my next promotion, our house savings fund, the 5-year plan I'd carefully crafted. 5 years of marriage, and spring cleaning still meant going through James's mess. He never could keep his side of the closet organized. That Saturday morning started like any other, me sorting through old receipts, forgotten gym clothes, and the usual clutter that accumulated on his shelves. That's when I found it. A phone I'd never seen before, tucked behind his winter sweaters. My stomach tightened as I picked it up. Not his work phone. Not his personal phone. It wasn't even locked. My hands shook as I opened the messages. The first one I saw was from Sarah. My baby sister. Miss you already. Can't wait until Saturday when she's at work again. Hundreds of messages. Pictures I wish I could unsee. Conversations about me. LOL, she's so clueless, always at the office. All she cares about is her precious career. The timestamps went back months. My legs gave out, and I sat there on the closet floor, reading message after message, each one worse than the last. Then I saw it, the message that made my world stop spinning. Baby's definitely yours. Doctor confirmed today. 12 weeks along. I don't remember driving to my parents' house. I don't remember much except the phone clutched in my white-knuckled grip. Sarah was there, of course. Saturday morning cartoons with Tommy. One big happy family. What the hell is this? I threw the phone on the coffee table. Tommy looked up, startled, and Mom quickly sent him to play in his room. Sarah didn't even flinch. She picked up the phone, scrolled through it casually like she was checking the weather. Oh, well, I guess you know now. That's all you have to say? You're sleeping with my husband? She shrugged, actually shrugged. We're in love, Amalia. These things happen. And now with the baby coming, James and I want to get married. Once Amalia stops being difficult about it. Difficult? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm being difficult? Well, yes, Sarah said, like she was explaining something simple to a child. You never wanted children anyway. You're too busy with your precious career. James needs a real family. I turned to my parents, waiting for them to say something, anything, to defend me. To condemn this betrayal. Instead, Mom sat down next to Sarah, patting her hand. Amalia, try to be reasonable. Tommy needs a father figure, and James is so good with him. And now with another baby coming. Reasonable? My voice cracked. My husband and sister are having an affair, and you want me to be reasonable? Dad cleared his throat. Well, you never wanted children, honey. And James, he's always wanted to be a father. Maybe this is for the best. When was the last time you even cooked him dinner? Sarah would make a proper wife. I looked at them, my family, all sitting there, defending the indefensible. Sarah, smug and pregnant with my husband's child. Mom, already planning the next wedding. Dad, avoiding my eyes, but clearly on their side. A proper wife, I repeated numbly. Like your precious Sarah, who mooches off you and cheats with her sister's husband. Sarah rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic, Amalia. Just go back to your big office and your important meetings. Leave the family stuff to people who actually care about it. I barely remember the drive home from my parents' house. The world seemed unreal, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart instead of my own. When I walked through our front door, James was there in the living room, acting like it was just another normal Saturday. Hey, honey, he moved to hug me, that familiar smile on his face. The smile I used to love. The smile that now made me sick to my stomach. I stepped back, holding up his second phone. Want to explain this? The change in his face was instant, first confusion, then recognition, then fear. Where did you? Found it while cleaning. You really should find better hiding spots for your affair phones. Amalia, I can explain. Explain what? The messages? The photos? Or maybe explain how you got my sister pregnant? He tried denial first, like they all do. It's not, I mean, I didn't, but he must have seen something in my face, because suddenly his whole demeanor changed. The mask dropped completely. Fine. Yes, Sarah and I are together, he snapped. What did you expect? You're never home. All you care about is work, work, work. When was the last time we even had a real conversation about starting a family? Oh, so this is my fault? You cheated because I wanted financial security before having children? You never wanted children. Not really. You always had some excuse, the house, the savings, the right time. Sarah actually wants a family. She understands what's important in life. I looked at this man, this stranger wearing my husband's face, and felt nothing but disgust. What's important in life is loyalty, honor, basic human decency. But I guess those things aren't important to you or my precious sister. Don't act all high and mighty, he snarled. You're just angry because Sarah's giving me what you wouldn't. The divorce papers were filed the next day. I had documentation of the affair, so it went through quickly. My brothers, Mike and David, came to help me move out of the apartment. They were the only ones who stood by me. We always knew Sarah was spoiled, Mike said as we packed boxes, but this is a new low. David couldn't even say her name. They're dead to me, he declared. Both of them. Through my brothers, I heard the updates I never wanted but couldn't help knowing. James and Sarah got married in a small ceremony. My parents were there, of course, beaming proudly. The baby was born, a girl. They moved into a small house in the suburbs. Tommy started calling James Dad. Mom keeps trying to get us to visit them, Mike told me during one of our monthly dinners. Says we need to be a family again. We are a family, David said, raising his glass. The three of us, that's enough. I nodded, grateful for my brother's loyalty in a world where loyalty seemed to mean nothing anymore. We were the only ones who understood that some betrayals can't be forgiven, some bridges can't be rebuilt, and some families are better off broken. 4 years can change everything. My new apartment overlooked the city skyline, floor-to-ceiling windows, marble countertops, and enough space to finally display the art collection I'd always wanted. The Mercedes in my reserved parking spot gleamed under the garage lights. I'd made it, exactly as I'd planned. My brothers visited often, bringing news and rumors. Sarah and James struggling to make ends meet. 3 moves in 2 years, each apartment smaller than the last. But I didn't care. Their life wasn't my concern anymore. Until that Tuesday evening when my phone lit up with a number I'd hoped never to see again. Amalia? James's voice. 4 years older, but still familiar enough to make my stomach clench. Please don't hang up. I should have. Instead, I listened. We need your help, he said, as if he had any right to ask me for anything. Sarah's had an accident. Broke her leg badly, compound fracture. She's had surgery, but she can't move around, can't take care of the kids. And, she's pregnant again. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, wondering if this was some kind of cosmic joke. The kids need someone to pick them up from school, watch them until I get home from work. Tommy's getting too big to handle everything himself, and with the new baby coming. He paused. We thought maybe you could help. You thought what? My voice came out eerily calm. They're your nephews, Amalia. Your family. Sarah can't even get to the bathroom by herself right now. My family? I repeated. The sister who slept with my husband and the husband who cheated on me, that's my family? Don't be like that, he snapped, his tone shifting from pleading to accusatory. This isn't about us. It's about innocent children who need help. Or are you too selfish to care about them too? Selfish? I almost laughed. That's rich, coming from you. We're struggling here. His voice rose. Do you know how expensive kids are? I'm working overtime just to keep food on the table. We can't even afford a decent apartment anymore. Meanwhile, you're living it up in your luxury condo with your fancy car. So that's what this is about? Money? Not all of us can focus only on our careers, he said bitterly. Some of us have real responsibilities. Must be nice, having all that money and no one to spend it on but yourself. Must be nice having the family you stole and no way to support them, I replied coldly. Sounds like a real dream come true. The kids need parents who didn't build their relationship on betrayal. Goodbye, James. I hung up mid-protest and blocked his number before he could call back. My mother's number showing up on my phone was almost as unwelcome as James's had been. I answered anyway, some old habit I couldn't quite break. Amalia? Mom's voice had that tone, the one she always used when she wanted something. We need to talk about Sarah. She needs help. James called you, didn't he? About her leg? I paced my living room, fighting the urge to hang up immediately. Yes, he did. And I'll tell you what I told him, not my problem. How can you be so cold? She's your sister. She's struggling with 3 children, well, soon to be 3. The sister who slept with my husband? That sister? Mom sighed heavily. That was years ago, Amalia. You need to move past it. We're family. Funny how family only matters when you need something from me. We've helped her as much as we can. Mom's voice cracked a little. But she keeps asking for money, for the kids, for the rent, for everything. We've gone through all our savings. Your father and we can't keep this up. I couldn't help but laugh. So the golden child is finally becoming too expensive to maintain? Don't be cruel. She's never learned to. Mom trailed off. To what? Work? Support herself? Take responsibility for her actions? Gee, I wonder why that is. She just keeps having babies, Mom said, frustration finally breaking through. She won't look for a job, says she's too busy with the children. But she's always asking for money, always needing something. Sounds like exactly the person you raised her to be, I said coldly. The princess who never had to face consequences. You have no right to speak to me like that. Mom's voice rose. I am your mother. And whose fault is it that Sarah turned out this way? Who taught her that she never had to work for anything? That someone would always bail her out? We did our best. No, you did your easiest. And now you're calling me because the monster you created is too expensive to feed. You have a duty to help your family. Mom was almost shouting now. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? I cut in. You mean like supporting my sister when she had an affair with my husband? Or like calling me selfish for wanting financial security before having children? I don't owe you anything. I hung up before she could respond, my hands shaking with 4 years of pent-up rage. The expensive view from my apartment windows suddenly seemed like the best revenge, my life, built exactly as I'd planned it, without their help or their approval. Mike called me one evening while I was reviewing quarterly reports. You'll never guess who tried calling me today. Sarah, I already knew. The desperation tour was making its rounds. Bingo. Wanted me to help with the kids, maybe loan them some money until they get back on their feet. He snorted. As if they were ever on their feet to begin with. What did you tell her? Same thing David told her yesterday, that some betrayals can't be undone. That what she did to you wasn't just cheating, it was destroying a family. She started crying, saying we were being cruel, that family should help family. He paused. I reminded her she didn't seem too concerned about family when she was sleeping with your husband. I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the city lights. How did she take that? About as well as you'd expect. Started screaming about how we're all against her, how nobody understands how hard her life is. He chuckled darkly. Guess karma finally caught up with her. 2 weeks later, David brought the news I'd been expecting. They moved in with Mom and Dad. All of them, Sarah, James, the kids, and the baby on the way. Dad's converting his workshop into another bedroom. How are Mom and Dad handling it? Remember how peaceful retirement was supposed to be? Well, now they're full-time babysitters and ATMs. Mom's watching the kids while Sarah recovers, which apparently means scrolling through her phone all day. Dad's dipping into his pension to cover their expenses. I shook my head. They made their choice. Mom came by my place yesterday, David continued. Wanted to know if I'd talk to you about helping out. Said they're overwhelmed. I bet they are. The next day, Mom showed up at my door unannounced. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked older, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. "Please," she started before I could even speak. "Just listen." "No," I cut her off. "You listen. You chose all of it. You chose to spoil Sarah rotten. You chose to support her when she betrayed me. You chose to let them move in. These are your choices, Mom. Live with them. And if you show up at my door again, I'm calling the police. Are we clear?" She started to speak, but I cut her off again. "The next time you feel overwhelmed, remember this was your choice. You chose the daughter who betrayed her sister over the one who only ever worked hard and did the right thing. Now live with it." I closed the door on her protests and blocked her number, the last family number I had left to block, besides my brother's. That night, I had dinner with Marcus, the man I'd been seeing for the past few months. He knew my story, knew about the betrayal and the aftermath. He'd never pushed, never rushed, just listened and understood. After I told him about the latest family events, he reached across the table and took my hand. "Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who you choose." I squeezed his hand back, thinking about my brothers who stood by me, about Marcus who understood me, about the life I'd built on my own terms. In the end, Sarah hadn't stolen my family, she'd just helped me see which parts of it were worth keeping. "My brothers are coming over this weekend," I told him. "Would you like to join us?" His smile was answer enough. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly at peace with where I was and who I had chosen to be. The drama playing out at my parents' house wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life to live, my own family to build, and my own happiness to protect.